For many years, rumors have been circulating that something terrible is happening in Hollywood. People with money and power are abusing their positions, taking advantage of countless victims. Just look at Epstein's Island, a hotspot for pedophiles that shattered any rosy illusions about Hollywood's elite. Murders, rape parties, drugs, human trafficking, shootings. It sounds like the synopsis for some crime film, but no, this is the life of renowned producer and rapper Diddy. A force to be reckoned with in the hip-hop universe, his influence extends far beyond music. Fashion mogul, cultural icon, the man who elevated hip-hop and rap to new heights. But he's also a monster, with blood on his hands from innocent people. Right now, you are looking at a man responsible for Hollywood never being the same again. The Awaken, December 27, 1999. It was supposed to be just another night out at Club New York, but in the blink of an eye, it became the scene of a nightmare. Gunfire rang out, panic, blood, lives shattered in an instant. A 21-year-old rising star, Jamal Barrow, known to the world as Shine, was caught, arrested for his role in the shooting, but the man who had discovered him, who had signed him, and who stood by his side that fateful night, was nowhere to be found. Sean P.Diddy Combs vanished while his young protege was allowed to face the consequences alone. How did the man responsible for signing Shine, the powerful figure behind Bad Boy Records, slip away unnoticed? And more importantly, why? Weeks turned to months. The trial that followed created a night of violence, a desperate cover-up, and a young man left to face the fallout alone. Shine was sentenced to 10 years behind bars. But for Diddy, it seemed like just another chapter he had outrun. A dangerous game of power, manipulation, and survival. That same night, Diddy's driver tore through the streets of New York until they were finally caught. When officers pulled the vehicle over, they quickly uncovered 2 loaded 9mm pistols inside the car. At this point, Sean Diddy Combs and his ex-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez were arrested but never faced the wrath of the law. Over 60 witnesses, 126 court exhibits, and more than 2 decades of reflection have failed to bring clarity to the events of that fateful night. But this was just the beginning. Diddy's controversies. For over 2 decades, the talks of abuse and violence have been related to Sean Diddy Combs. The fact that people like Steve Stoute were publicly speaking about his dangerous side 25 years ago says more than we realize. His abusive past has always been one of the industry's darkest secrets. In 2001, a Detroit talk show host named Roger Mills filed a lawsuit against Diddy and his entourage. The accusations were horrifying: assault, false imprisonment, destruction of property, emotional distress, and conspiracy. But the roots of this lawsuit traced back 2 years earlier, when Mills dared to ask a question no one else would. In an interview, Mills asked Diddy to comment on the speculation around the death of his longtime associate, the notorious B.I.G. The question hit a nerve, and Diddy ended the interview on the spot, demanding it never see the light of day. He even tried to buy the tape, desperate to bury the footage, but Mills refused, and that's when things took a terrifying turn. As he headed back to his car, Diddy's bodyguards allegedly attacked. They prevented Mills from leaving, forcibly taking the tape, shattering his camera, and violently twisting his neck and shoulder in the assault. When Diddy was dragged into court, he claimed he couldn't remember the incident, but Detroit police confirmed it happened. Still, the jury ruled in Diddy's favor, letting him walk away once again, untouched. 3 years later, another incident occurred. A limo driver, Cedric Bobby Lemon, was left beaten, broken, and unable to work after an attack by Diddy's hired security. Lemon was there to transport Mary J. Blige, fully authorized, but that didn't matter. For no reason at all, 2 bodyguards punched him, kicked him in the back, and shattered his right ankle. With $114,000 in medical bills and his career in ruins, Lemon hoped a lawsuit would bring him justice. But once again, the system seemed to bend in Diddy's favor. A judge overturned the civil judgment, and another brutal incident was swept under the rug. For years, these stories have haunted Diddy's empire, one violent act after another, each time followed by settlements, overturned rulings, and silence. But the truth, no matter how well hidden, has a way of resurfacing. But how long did Sean Combs outrun the darkness that seems to follow him at every end? The assault cases. In 2003, Sean John's clothing brand, owned by Diddy, faced serious allegations. Factories in Honduras, where the brand's garments were made, were allegedly violating labor laws. According to the National Labor Committee, workers were forced to endure grueling overtime, paid pitiful wages, and in some cases, found the bathroom doors locked, trapping them inside. In 2007, Diddy was sued for battery after allegedly hitting Gerard Rich Ritzer at a nightclub, another in a series of disturbing incidents. But yet, it only gets worse. After many years, Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex, claims that he once went as far as blowing up Kid Cudi's car. A claim Kid Cudi's spokesperson confirmed is true. But these are not isolated acts. Diddy's name has long been in connection with even darker allegations, the tragic deaths of Tupac Shakur. A suspect in Tupac's murder even claimed that Diddy ordered the killing, targeting both Pac and Suge Knight. Haunting footage of Tupac Shakur has resurfaced, reigniting chilling accusations. In this unsettling clip, Tupac speaks of P. Diddy's involvement in a shooting that took place 2 years before the rapper's tragic death. On November 30th, 1994, Tupac was shot 5 times during a violent robbery at Quad Studios in Times Square. In a 1995 interview, Tupac claimed that Sean "Diddy" Combs was the mastermind behind the setup. Though he had evidence, Tupac claimed that it wasn't for the world to know.
Do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about.
On the day of the shooting, Tupac had planned to lend his talents to rapper Little Sean's track. Yet, as he approached Quad Studios, something didn't feel right. Despite his unease, he entered the building with his crew, only to notice a group of men he instinctively knew weren't Biggie's security. Moments later, Tupac was hit 5 times, one bullet grazing his skull, leaving him severely wounded. Years later, in 2008, as old allegations resurfaced like a ghost from the past, Sean Combs denied any knowledge or involvement in the brutal attack. The disgraced music mogul issued a forceful statement, branding the claims as a lie, beyond ridiculous and completely false. Just 2 years after the Quad Studios shooting, Tupac was murdered in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, mere moments after leaving a boxing match at the MGM Grand. Earlier this year, a news story emerged when Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis, a former LA gang leader accused of orchestrating Tupac's murder, claimed that Combs offered him $1 million to assassinate the rapper. Davis, the sole survivor in the vehicle from which the shots were fired, has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. Since his arrest in September 2024, he has been held in a Las Vegas jail, where he has been waiting for reconsideration of his bail. However, Clark County prosecutors opposed his release, citing the gravity of his accusations against Combs. In a July filing, they referenced a 2009 interview with Las Vegas police in which Davis claimed that Combs had paid Eric Von Martin $1 million for the killings. In nearly 180 pages of court documents, Combs was mentioned 77 times, yet he was never named a suspect in Tupac's tragic death. In November 2023, singer Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against Diddy, starting a chain reaction of legal turmoil for the music mogul. Cassie's journey with Diddy began in 2005 when she was just 19 and he was 36. In 2006, she signed to his label under a 10-album deal, a contract that felt more like a lifetime sentence, granting Diddy control over every facet of her career. Their on and off relationship lasted until about 2018, marked by a cycle of manipulation and control. In the lawsuit released in 2023, Cassie reveals a dark account of her life with Diddy. Not long after they met, she claims he started giving her drugs to ensure her compliance, turning her into a prisoner within his world. It only got scarier after she claimed that Diddy physically assaulted her multiple times every year, enforcing his dominance through violence. As their relationship progressed, the horror escalated. It was reported that Diddy forced her into having sex with male prostitutes while he watched, filmed, and found pleasure in this violating act. This deeply disturbing pattern continued for years until the disturbing incident from 2016 where Diddy allegedly struck Cassie in a hotel room before passing out. Reports suggest that Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 to keep that footage hidden. As their toxic relationship drew to a close in 2018, Cassie claimed he forced his way into her apartment before unleashing a final level of abuse that ultimately drove her to leave him for good. In the end, Cassie requested $30 million in damages, and just a day after filing the lawsuit, it was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Both parties expressed a desire to resolve the matter amicably, but the terms of their settlement remained a secret. A few days after Cassie's lawsuit, another lawsuit was filed, accusing Diddy of drugging a college student at Syracuse University in 1991 and filming it. Then, Diddy would show the footage to people as revenge porn. Immediately, a third lawsuit emerged. But this time, the allegations implicate both Diddy and R&B singer Aaron Hall in an assault that left a young woman fighting for her life. After the brutal incident, Diddy reportedly showed up at her home, unleashing a torrent of violence, choking her until she lost consciousness. As these shocking allegations surfaced, Diddy's spokesperson dismissed them as nothing more than fabrications. But the accusations didn't stop there. In December 2023, another lawsuit was filed, this time involving a 17-year-old girl who alleged she was assaulted by Diddy, producer Harvey Pierre, and an unnamed assailant in 2003. She claimed they coerced her onto a private jet to New York, drugged her, and assaulted her, providing photographs that seemed to lend credence to her horrifying story. Amid the mounting allegations, Diddy took to Instagram to defend himself with a post that says, "Enough is enough." In February 2024, producer Lil Rod filed a $30 million lawsuit, accusing Diddy of harassing and threatening him for over a year. He claimed to possess footage of Diddy and his associates engaged in criminal acts, alleging a criminal enterprise with ties to prominent figures in the industry. Diddy's inner circle, including his son Justin and various high-ranking executives, were named as co-conspirators in this extensive web of alleged corruption. Lil Rod, who had lived with Diddy for months, recounted a chilling reality of constant harassment, including unsolicited and unauthorized groping. He alleged that Diddy attempted to coerce him into compromising situations, promising him fame and accolades in exchange for silence. As the legal fallout increased, the feds executed raids on two of Diddy's properties. Federal agents, accompanied by Homeland Security, launched a comprehensive investigation, handcuffing both of Diddy's sons during the operation. The walls were closing in on the once unassailable music mogul. Most recently, on September 16, 2024, Diddy was arrested by federal authorities with a sealed indictment filed by the Southern District of New York. The term indictment might sound legalistic, but it signifies serious, often terrifying charges. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams announced that Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy, using his business empire to orchestrate heinous criminal activities, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. As the U.S. Attorney said, Diddy now faces three primary charges: racketeering conspiracy, trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The first charge, racketeering, refers to a web of illegal activities disguised as legitimate business dealings aimed at profit. The indictment alleges that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women and those around him to fulfill his dark sexual desires while protecting his public persona and concealing his conduct. To achieve this, Diddy exploited his employees and businesses, creating a criminal enterprise that thrived on the very actions the U.S. Attorney detailed. In essence, Diddy's numerous ventures in music and fashion were not merely commercial enterprises, they became tools of cover-up for his abhorrent behavior. The indictment referred to Diddy's business empire as a criminal organization, where employees were enlisted to conceal the shocking acts he committed. The allegations depicted a reality in which Diddy compelled women to cooperate through drugs, career threats, and violent intimidation. The indictment claims that from 2009 onward, Diddy engaged in a horrifying cycle of assault, striking, punching, dragging. Among the most grotesque details is the mention of freak-offs, a term the indictment uses to describe the practices he orchestrated. These acts involved force, threats, and coercion, compelling victims to engage in prolonged sexual encounters with male sex workers, which Diddy directed, recorded, and even participated in. These freak-offs were no fleeting events. They could stretch on for days, with Diddy administering drugs to keep his victims compliant. Recently, law enforcement reportedly seized a trove of items related to these acts, including narcotics and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Though some people might find humor in the absurdity of these details, they reveal the scale of Diddy's alleged operations. It turned out that Diddy orchestrated a series of events known as freak-offs, elaborate and disturbing sex performances that he arranged, directed, and even participated in. These weird sessions, often recorded for his twisted pleasure, relied heavily on baby oil. Though the indictment left out the exact purpose of the baby oil, it was clear that it was a necessary element in these dark encounters. Members and associates of the so-called Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security personnel, and household staff, took part in this ritual. They prepared hotel rooms for the freak-offs, ensuring they were stocked with supplies of controlled substances, baby oil, lubricants, extra linens, and even specialized lighting to set the stage for these disturbing obsessions. It even gets more shocking when you discover that Diddy once had a connection with Usher and Justin Bieber. A recently released footage of Justin Bieber and Sean Diddy Combs has raised a firestorm of speculation over Justin's well-being during their past relationship. In a weird clip that has resurfaced online, the two celebrities weirdly talked about a wild and reckless 48-hour escapade.
But for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Further compounding the facts is an episode from Keeping Up with the Kardashians in 2014, where Khloe Kardashian recounts her experiences at one of Diddy's infamous naked parties, casually mentioning both Justin and Diddy.
So who was with you this weekend?
A bunch of my friends.
Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber,
So far, so
French
good.
Montana.
In the end, we can never know why he acted the way he did, does what he does today or in the future, and maybe we never will. But what do you think about P. Diddy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.